Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to every one of you. Myself, Lara Farad from the Institute of Regional Studies. I welcome you all today. Thank you everyone for taking our time and joining us for the occasion. We would be talking about today, we'd be talking about on a very important subject, that is cybersecurity challenges and the need for regional forums to combat cyber threat. Today, we are joined by an extremely learned and expert panel who would enlighten us on the subject with their expertise and with their analysis. The format of the session is will allocate around 8 to 10 minutes to each speaker, and then we would move towards the end of the session with question and answer from the audience. We will begin the session with our first speaker, that is Mr. Ammar Jaffri. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Mr. Ammar Jaffri has over 40 years of experience in governance, digital forensics, information technology, security, education, and philanthropy. He retired as an additional director general of the Federal Investigation Agency of Pakistan in 2010 and is currently engaged in various public and private projects, including CIT and IoT Center Pakistan. He is a visionary person and well-known speaker on a wide range of subjects, including Internet of Things, information security, electronic governance, business continuity planning, electronic banking, and emerging trends in communication. I would now hand over the panel discussion to Mr. Ammar Jaffri. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Just a minute. Can you see my screen, please?
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay, just let me.
Sure, take your time.
Okay. Firstly, I would like to thank Master Nadeem from IRS team, everybody here for inviting me this purely timing webinar, very timely webinar. We need to have some sort of discussion on the regional forums to combat cyber threats in Pakistan. So I'll start very briefly about myself. My name is Ammar Jaffri. I retired as a district director general FIA, and I have the proud honor of starting as a pioneering head of NR3C, which you now call the cyber wing of FIA. I started in 2002 when I was in FIA, and I was looking after the airport systems, but on my request, they started this initiative. And then starting from 2005, we formally started working. And then in 2007, the new law came. And then till I retired from there, I kept on serving government of Pakistan on this. After my retirement from the government service, I started the initiative PISA, Pakistan Information Security Association. This is not for profit. And from this forum, we established a number of initiatives like CERTS and everything. Maybe this is not the right forum, we'll talk about that later on. Currently, I have the proud honor of starting the initiative Digital Pakistan. I started from e-village, then I went to e-Pakistan, and back in 2000, I think 18, we converted into Digital Pakistan. So that is the entire my post-retirement journey. Currently, I'm representing Pakistan in a number of forums, and cybersecurity is one of my initiatives. And apart from cybersecurity, I'm working on emerging technologies and SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Now, starting my talk on internet, ladies and gentlemen, internet by default is global. It was designed and conceived to be as global. So we cannot do anything in isolation. We have to think globally, but very, very big but, act locally, because we have our own dynamics, we have our own understanding of things, we have our own infrastructures, and we are responsible not only for Pakistan, for the region also. Now, the current design of internet, which was started from Accra, you know all these things, I think history of internet. It started from Melican University, then ICANN came, and then the current routing system, DNS, packaging system, all these things were researched in universities of USA, and then it went on. Now it's a complete platform. But the entire, what I could call topology and everything was designed plus 50 years ago. So now there's a need to discuss this, that how we can improve upon the existing infrastructure of internet. And we don't need to start from everything from the scratch. We just need to revisit and has to see how the new things like Internet of Things, now internet is evolving very fast. AI is coming now, blockchain-based technologies are coming. Now DNS poisoning is a big threat to internet. We can talk about all these things. But the point here is that we need to discuss these things today. The recent transformation in the last few years, I believe, has gone so fast, that now we have to see that criminals are using this cyberspace for the same purpose we are using it. We are using it for positive purposes, and they are using it for their own purposes. Every, be it a state actor, be it a non-state actor, has a stake to play in the internet. And now, internet has provided them opportunity to promote their objectives at a very, very fast pace, unimaginably fast pace. Data leakage. There are two sources of data leakage. One is naturally technical, and we have to see that technical is a different part, human weakness, deliberate leakage, all these things are different part. But data leakage from different sources is making the users of internet doubtful about the functionality of internet. So why we go to internet? We go to internet to access people, to outreach. But if data leakage part is there, then the very purpose of building the internet is going to fail. So we have to see all these things. I think cyber world has moved from traditional cyber crimes to cyber terrorism, then cyber warfare, then our critical infrastructure were naturally targets. But now, this is very important to understand for all of us, that now the state actors and non-state actors, they are after our human survival kits. What is human survival kit? Air, water, food. So I think we need to ponder today with the collective wisdom, that what is the threat, how they can damage our human basic survival kits. Now the food is a big target now. Air is a big target now. Water is a big target now. And I think the UN is doing already something about it, and under SDGs, and we will later on think about these things also. There are some common challenges, because the basic focus of today's discussion, the concept note was shared with me. I think we need to talk about CERTS also. CERTS is not a new forum. It was designed and conceived 2 decades before, and it's again a legal entity. But due to certain political issues in the region, we couldn't promote it further. But now time has come that when we are talking about the regional challenges to internet, we need to talk about these issues. Ownership at the top. This is very important in SAARC countries. Ownership of cybersecurity at the top is good in some countries, is not good in few countries. So we have to take account of this. The governance and implementation challenge of cybersecurity policy, because we need to have a policy, then a strategy, and then implementation part of it. We have weak infrastructure of cyber laws. Cyber laws are there. The first cyber law of Pakistan came in 2002 under ETO. Then we had a series of cyber laws, and even today, after PICA, we are discussing the amendments in cyber laws. Also, it's an ongoing process. As the technology is evolving, we need to revise our laws. We need to have a threat assessment and a continued improvement as we go further, because internet is an evolving field and we need to continue all these things. We need to have enforcement of required structures, infrastructure, and processes. Data governance, because everything drives from data governance and how we are governing our data. International standards are there, ISO standards are there, GDPR is there, everything is there. But we need to see that how compliant we are in Pakistan, our regional countries in Pakistan, and how these platforms provide a collective working with each other. We have to see the reliance on external sources is increasing, because digital divide is increasing, because in developed countries, a lot of resources are being allocated to these things, and in developing countries, due to resource constraint, our dependence is gradually increasing more. For example, if you look at the social media, everything is on WhatsApp, everything is on LinkedIn, everything is on these infrastructures. Well, so we need to think about it, that how Pakistan itself and the regional countries can talk together about the local infrastructures and resources and the regional. We have serious challenges of coordinated response to threats and attacks, because to my understanding, terrorists and all these people who are there, they are the enemy of human beings. They are the enemy of this globe. They are not enemy of one particular country. So we need to think about it. These are common challenges to all of us. Fake news is a big challenge. Its detection, its mitigation. We need to have some sort of regional and global cooperation into it, because without a strategy on fake news, and now we are talking about deep fake news. I think in Pakistan, if you think, there are so many fake news. So by the time damage is done, then we take account of it. But a lot of damage is done. We need to have personal data protection laws, because personal data protection laws give you the confidence to work very smoothly and with confidence in cyberspace. Actually, we are all human beings. We have our own weaknesses. We have personal lives. We have professional lives. We have enmities. We have friendships. So data protection is something we all need to ponder, and it can include our personal data, our social data, our professional needs. So all these things we need to take into account, the data leakage part, because now the humans are scared. Our kids are scared. Our daughters are scared, because now if somebody is enjoying some family function and some picture or some dance goes on the internet, it goes to wrong places. So we need to give confidence to the people in terms of data protection. This is a term I'm using for the last few months: digital diplomacy. Why digital diplomacy? Because traditional diplomacy was there, and there is an established institution. I think there is the oldest institution in human civilization. If you study Chanakya, which was born in Texla, I think his book says that the king should meet the diplomats first, then the army people, then the community people. So the meeting with the diplomats was in the book of Chanakya. So diplomacy is a big institution, but now, due to digital transformation, we need to understand that the dynamics of diplomacy needs to be changed now. This has no more remained the traditional diplomacy now. It has to be one-to-one, university to university, person to person, civilization to civilization. And all these channels are already working. They won't wait for us to issue laws. So to my understanding, if IRS decides, we can have a different session on digital diplomacy that include diplomacy in cyberspace, diplomacy in SDGs, diplomacy in emerging technologies. So all these different forms of diplomacies, I called it digital diplomacy tracks. I have in my mind 12 tracks of diplomacy, and every track would have its own way of working. And I think UN must come forward. And I'm also in contact with few organizations of UN, and they are taking this initiative. Definitely, it's from Pakistan, and I would like to take IRS into it, that we should talk about it. There are a few recommendations for the SAARC countries, again, in the light of the concept sent to me, that regional diplomacy program must be started immediately between the regional countries. And we can start from here, then we can gradually go further. We need to have the top level political will to help each other in cyber emergencies. When cyber emergency comes, like in Bangladesh, I think billions of dollars went in one night from the banks of Bangladesh. So that was a cyber emergency. Naturally, in cyber emergencies, we cannot wait for diplomatic channels to start immediately. We have to make some alert centers that we should take cognizance of actions immediately. Emerging technologies, naturally, they are posing a new threat. So we need to have a concept like cyber secure world. I call it CSW, because there should be one point agenda: local cooperation, the regional cooperation, international cooperation, and it can be a cyber secure world. So like we are promoting cyber secure Pakistan, CSP, for the last so many years. So on these, and my organization, CERTS, is doing number of cyber days and with a number of organizations. So we can have something like cyber secure South Asia, because from SAARC we can go to South Asia, because that will include more countries into the initiative. We can have CERTS, because yes, government of Pakistan is in the process of forming its national CERT, and definitely we must support this activity. But again, there is no bar in establishing sectorial CERTs, private sector CERTs, organizational CERTs. So my organization is doing something very interesting into it, and anybody interested into it, we can talk about it. So like SDGs, UN must lead cybersecurity goals, because cybersecurity is a bigger agenda than SDGs, because SDGs covers only the development part, and the cybersecurity covers more explained details. The future wars, everybody knows, will be hybrid wars. It will be no more the only force on ground. It will be hybrid war. And in hybrid wars, these fake news and all these things will play a very vital role. So I think South Asian countries must join hands together, and we can take a start from SAARC, and then we can go further. We must exchange of latest knowledge on latest technology on cyber. This is, information sharing, attribution of cyber in case of cyber attacks. These are all very sensitive issues, and every topic needs to be discussed in detail, and that is only possible if we talk about like a dialogue. This is the starting of the initiative, so I won't go into detail. I just touch up. I'm just touching upon the topic, and on every topic, depending on the questions we have, I can respond to it. CERT is very important, because CERT is like a watchman outside your gate. Because inside you have any security inside the home or inside the office, but unless your watchman sitting on the gate does not understand what's going on the road in the city, it's very difficult. So there's a relationship between the CERT and the SEAM, SOR, or SOC, anything you have. So globally, now these CERTs are cooperating, and by virtue of my understanding with the global initiative on CERT for the last 12 years, we are working with OIC CERT, JP CERT, number of Middle Eastern CERT, African CERTs, even Russian state CERTs. So we can talk about these things later. Pakistan effort in the last 10 years is very interesting. Pakistan has already issued the cybersecurity policy in 2021. And alhamdulillah, I happen to be part of that policy. So now the cyber laws are there. We can change, we can discuss all these things. But I think only a week ago, I was in a UN initiative by DCAF, and I told them very candidly that Pakistan was the first country in the region, definitely, which established cyber initiative 2002, and under ETO, Electronic Transaction Ordinance, even the regional countries, they were actually behind us. But again, unluckily, we couldn't keep the pace, and now we need to run very fast. We need a few specific opportunity challenges. There are so many opportunity and challenges. We need to actually have time critical. I have to, because the moderator has given me, I think, 10 to 12 minutes, so I'm very quick. So we need to have diplomacy in South Asia. We need to make SARC very active and functional as a priority agenda. Then SDGs, especially SDG 16 talks about, actually SDG 17 talks about networking between countries, regional networking and global networking. But SDG 16 specifically talks about transparency in organizational rule of law and all these things. So we can club our initiative with SDG 16 also. We need immediately we need to engage our university students, because to my understanding, the university student can be the best defenders of Pakistan. I think right now, millions of students are studying in the universities, and we need to engage them. I call it the project University Plus, in which the university, only yesterday I was in the HCC meeting, and I told them also that let the universities teach the students. And the organization like ours in cybersecurity, they must train the students. So there must be a fine combination between teaching and training, because teaching is something different. It's from the books, because the traditional arrangement of work and all these things, industry, university lazas, I think we need to beef up all those initiatives under a program. Our cybersecurity needs to be proactive rather than reactive, because artificial intelligence has enabled us to have this understanding of things. Now we can predict that there will be the next attack. It's based on data, it's based on behavior of the people. So all these things need to be discussed very candidly. And this is my last slide. This is a few initiatives we are doing in next 2 months. And I will request IRS and other organizations listening to me that please join hand with us. We're organizing a capture the flag competition. This will be in next two months of time. We are arranging cybersecurity dialogues. Actually, on every Friday at 8 p.m., we have a webinar on emerging technologies, and cybersecurity is part of that. We are organizing a 3-day event, Cybersecure Pakistan Vision 2030, from 22nd to 24th of August. And I will request all organizations to please join hand with us into. There'll be 2 days trainings, and in this training, we are inviting foreign experts on CERTS, cyber terrorism, and blockchain forensics, etc. And there'll be 1 day on 24th August, international conference. Again, I thank the organizers for inviting me in this very important webinar. It's very timely. I think these are, today we are passing the defining moments in Pakistan, and we must all play a role into it. Thank you all, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ammar Jaffri. That was very informative. Thank you for highlighting all the points that Pakistan needs to work on, and SARC altogether needs to work on. And thank you for also pinpointing the solutions that we need in this age. I would now invite the audience that you can send in your question in the chat box, and after the session, we'll make sure that the speakers address all your questions. With that, we'll move forward to our next speaker, Dr. Zunera Jalil. Dr. Zunera Jalil is Associate Professor and Chair, Department of Cybersecurity, Faculty of Computing and Artificial Intelligence, Air University, Islamabad. She's also engaged as co-investigator with National Cybercrimes and Forensic Labs, National Center for Cybersecurity, Air University. She's EC Council Certified Computer Hacking Forensic Investigator. With that, I'll hand over the platform to Dr. Zunera Jalil. Over to you.
Thank you, Larib. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. Thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me to talk about this very important topic nowadays. Cybersecurity challenges is everybody's facing it globally, and we are facing in Pakistan more because we have recently shifted towards cybersecurity. We are recently started taking measures to combat cyber crimes, and so that's the point. So now I'm going to, you have already introduced myself. I'll just give my brief introduction. I'm Associate Professor and Chair, Department of Cybersecurity, which is part of Faculty of Computing and AI, Air University, Islamabad. Air University is the only university in Pakistan having an academic department of cybersecurity, offering different educational programs in cybersecurity only. I'm co-PI in computer forensics in National Cybercrimes and Forensics Lab for last 3 years. And I have I have played my role in developing different indigenous cybercrime forensic solutions. And my research interests and my profile can be explored through these links. This is how I define cybersecurity. Sir Ammar Jaffri have talked about the challenges which we are facing in the region and the recommendations he has given, which are very useful, because my focus is more towards the technical aspects in cybersecurity and developing some solutions to combat cybercrimes. So I will be talking from that perspective. So this is my definition of cybersecurity. Basically, cybersecurity is to protect data which is residing on any kind of digital devices from malicious attacks. Now you can see that previously, if we talk about 20 years ago, we had only digital devices like computers or mobile devices were also new. But now when we are moving towards 5G and 6G, we have a number of digital devices, and then after 10 years, this number will increase. So cybersecurity is going to stay there, and the malicious attacks are also emerging. So the malicious attack is not only a one kind of attack, there are a numbers of attacks, and there are a number of malwares and number of kinds of attacks which we have to study deeply. This is a cyber threat landscape in 2022, which was experienced, and you can see in this cloud that these are the only some major topics we talk about in cybersecurity. Now, if I talk about the threats which were pinching in 2022 only, ransomware was the most common one. After COVID, when people moved towards remote working scenarios, most of the medium-sized businesses were targeted through this ransomware. So now when attackers are moving towards adopting ransomware as a service, it means ransomware will be there and people will start utilizing these services on payments, and it can be utilized from anywhere. Then malwares are begetting malwares as well. There is not a single malware which infects only a single system, but it's an era of evolving malwares. The malwares are evolving using AI-enabled solutions, and there are malware distribution frameworks developed as well. So if a malware has infected only one system in your network, it is not guaranteed that the rest of the networks or the rest of the systems or the connected devices will remain safe. Your attack vector has enhanced with AI. So when we are using AI to combat cybercrimes, at the same time, your adversaries are also using AI against the solutions which are developed by yourself using AI. So adversarial AI is another challenge. When we are in a remote working scenarios, when we are talking about bring your own devices to the workplace, this remote working and unstoppable mobile malware is really pinching. And zero-day attacks are also, because when we prepare for an attack, we can prepare for attack which we already know and what we can think about, what your adversary is thinking, what your attackers are thinking. They may come up some new way of performing an attack which you are not familiar with, and these zero-day attacks can cause any harm. So there are some recommendations which I've given at the end to combat this. The current cybersecurity challenges which we face is the double extortion of ransomwares. A phishing attack and IoT attacks are also there. And we talked about spear phishing attack, which is actually now targeting your head of institutions or the people who are have more access to data and more responsible positions and are not much aware about cybersecurity and the kind of attack that can happen on their digital devices. So the phishing and IoT attacks have become common. So when you are moving towards IoT devices and you are moving towards digitalization, ignoring such attacks and ignoring the new emerging attacks would be a mistake. During pandemic, healthcare cyber attacks were very common. Now, this is very important point. This actually tells you about the psychology of your attackers. Like in the kind of where everybody was thinking about coming up out of this pandemic, and everybody was concerned about protecting themselves and their families due to COVID, the attackers were still thinking about attacking your healthcare systems and performing the denial of service attacks or making those services inaccessible for the people who are already suffering. So was another thing. Then when you have a huge amount of data and when you are utilizing cloud services, cloud will become your new battlefield. Right now, if you talk about the region and if you talk about particularly about Pakistan, we are not hosting our most of our data. Or if we talk about our critical data, that is hosted in-house. But if you talk about the data which can be used to perform an attack, that is over the cloud. And when we talk about using a cloud as a new battlefield, what are the security measures there in place, and what policies are there to protect our data or our solutions which we are deploying on cloud, which we are placing on clouds? So this is the challenge. Economics, World Economic Forum, 40% of the World Economic Forum members say and consider that cybersecurity is a persistent danger. So economics is the economy is the one which is most crucial for everyone. So when you talk about blockchain and cryptocurrency, and many people are now moving towards cryptocurrencies, so there are attacks which are happening on cryptocurrencies as well. It means your finances will be compromised. You will be at stake. Then adversarial AI attacks. When you are using AI to prevent different kinds of attacks, when you are developing some solutions to protect your networks like firewalls, your antivirus solutions. So when you are developing those solutions using AI, and your SIEM and SOC solutions are also using AI, so at the same time, your attackers are also aware about it. So because AI solutions are based on some AI algorithm which is working there at the back end. So if your attacker is able to somehow identify which algorithm which you have used and what are the limitations of your AI-based solutions, they can exploit those limitations and come up with a new way of performing an attack. So this adversarial AI attacks is also a challenge. Remote working and buyout threats, because when you are allowing your employees to work from their home, or when you are allowing them to bring their own devices and connect to your network, so the classification of information the integrity of information, the classification of information, and preventing data leakage will be dangerous, or will be difficult, you must say. When I say that it's an era of cyber attackers economy, I must say that internet-based criminality has increased, and this has commercialized as well. So you can go to the marketplace. When I say darknet, it's dark web, and darknet is no more a secret. So you can sell your hacking skills. You can have access to the system, and you can sell that access, sell the credentials which you have stolen. So that is actually a motivating factor for many attackers, and they are actually doing it. So this is an era of indirect monetization, where people are actually using the compromised resources indirectly to earn money. How they are doing it? There is a model of pay per install for malwares. You design a malware, you deploy it or place it somewhere, people buy it, and when one installation is done, you will be paid for one installation. So the more number of systems get infected, the more amount you will earn. So this is the problem. Then you can have a botnet. You can have a botnet in a network, and then you can use that botnet for malicious purposes. And once you have used that malware, then you can give that botnet on rentals. So it means that the attacker can create a botnet and make it available for other attackers to take it on rent, and then use it to perform an attack, and then return it back to you. So the era of botnet rentals is also there. Spyware selling. So spywares are created and are sold on the dark web as well. Phishing is you see like this is not a I must say that I almost hear about it daily, that the credentials of or the data of this organization is stolen, or the data is available on dark web. So when I say the credentials are stolen by using phishing attacks, so this is also there, and the hackers are making misuse of it. The cyber attacks are not only infecting your individuals, but also to organizations, and more importantly, your defense infrastructure as well. This news was very talked about. Russia is using an onslaught of cyber attacks to undermine Ukraine defense capabilities. So Ukrainian cities come under air attack. So before performing the actual attack, they performed a cyber attack. They compromised their systems. They made their systems unavailable, performed a DDoS attack, and then they were able to do. So it means the attack is not only an attack which is performed at some place, at some physical place. It can be performed in a number of ways with the world of cyber warfare. And there are some more stories as well, showing up cybersecurity in critical infrastructures and nation's defense supply chain. US Air Force successfully hacked by a battalion of 60 hackers. You can see that only 60 hackers are sufficient to make a system a hostage. So there are more news. Another news which was pointed out by my student to mention today, that India accidentally fired missile into Pakistan on 9th March, their defense ministry says. So it means the system may be compromised and it can accidentally attack another state. So they are saying that they are going to have a high-level court of inquiry into it, but attacks like this can happen, and they can lately say that it was a mistake. So I don't know what to comment about it, that how their systems are so insecure, so vulnerable, that they can be misused accidentally in another way. When I talk about cyber warfare attacks, these 7 are the major one I must mention. The first one is espionage. The second is sabotage of resources. The third one is the denial of service attack, which can happen on any service or any resource. Then attacks on critical infrastructures, your financials, your electricity, your nuclear assets. So these are the critical infrastructures which can be under attack. Then Sir Ammar Jaffri talked about fake news. So propaganda attacks, changing the public opinion, or changing the public opinion by spreading the fake news or hate speech altogether, is another kind of attack which comes into cyber warfare. Then economic disruption. If you are able to compromise any kind of financial resources, or you can harm a country in this way, it can be a serious harm. Then a surprise attack is also another cyber warfare attack, like performing an attack which your opponent is not expecting at all. So this is another kind of attack which you should be preparing. Now I have some recommendation to combat cyber crimes, and the recommendations are first of all, countries in the region need to first of all focus on their critical infrastructures, because critical infrastructures are before their survival. So there should be like no negligence, or no, you must say that there should be full focus on performing risk assessment, identifying the vulnerabilities, deploying all resources to protect the critical infrastructures. The second one is when we talk about cyber warfare and cyber crimes are not related to only one geographical regions. Criminals from multiple states, multiple regions may be involved in performing a crime. So when we talk about, when we perform forensics and identify what are the actual artifacts which were actually can be used as evidence for the crime committed, and the criminals are from different jurisdictions, then we have to identify that how to penalize them. So if there will be an international criminal court, or even I can say that a regional criminal court where they can be penalized with a common law in place, then it will be very beneficial for all. A comprehensive cyber laws and policies are required. Recently, in last 2 years, many policies came up. Pakistan's first cybersecurity policy was available in 2021. and there is social media usage policy, cloud policy, and digital. That is very good. These are the very good steps. But even then, uh, in the existence Prevention of Electronic Crime Act 2016 need amendments and need to be very comprehensive, covering all aspects and all sectors. Then we need to make a smooth shift toward indigenization. Indigenous e-solutions, indigenous hardware solutions are need of the hour. When we talk about cybersecurity and cyber crimes, dependence on the digital solutions, depending others for providing digital solutions is not something which is good. So when we in 2018, National Center for Cybersecurity was established, and under this center there are 11 labs working on different domains. They're working in different domains of cybersecurity. And I must mention that 2 of the labs are there at Air University. The one is cyber crimes and forensics, and the other is devices and network security. And there are 9 other labs are in different universities in Pakistan. So these labs have developed different indigenous solutions, hardware as well as software solutions. So these solutions should be used by different defense stakeholders, different organizations. So and we should make a smooth shift, because obviously we cannot afford an abrupt shift towards such solutions, cybersecurity solutions, but we should make a smooth shift, and we should be inclined towards it. When we are adopting cloud, whether it is a hybrid cloud or private cloud or public cloud or any, and now we are talking about forensic as a cloud as well. But whenever we go for cloud, we should have safe adoption of cloud, keeping all the cybersecurity related functions which we require as an organization. Then rigorous efforts, concerted cyber efforts in the region are required, not only for developing solutions, but also about creating awareness, about performing auditing, about assessments, about designing policies, about handling different cybercrime cases. So there is a rigorous effort required in the region by involving all the countries, and by looking at the challenges, at the unique challenges which we face in the region. So this is all what I wanted to say. Thank you very much. If you have any question, please you can ask me in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zunera. That was very informative. Thank you for being so on point and shedding light on some important challenges that we are facing on the subject of cybersecurity. And thank you for also pointing out the recommendations that we can do in order to combat those. And now we move forward to the last speaker of today's panel, Dr. Mia Mohammed Waseem Iqbal. He is an associate professor at the Department of Information Security, Military College of Signals, NUST. His professional services include, but is not limited to, industry consultation, international and national workshops, seminars, organizer and reviewer for several international journals or conferences. He has authored over 57 scientific research articles in prestigious international journals. He's also a member of government-based think tanks named National Security Division on Cybersecurity. With that being said, I now hand over the floor to Dr. Mia Mohammed Waseem Iqbal. Over to you, sir.
Anheem, thank you very much for inviting me, Lareb, and all the hosts of the IRS. I would like to talk about the generic cybersecurity. Dr. Ammar and Dr. Zunera has specifically talked about the core challenges, technical challenges. So I would like to take that forward and highlight that what the developed countries are doing to combat the cybersecurity challenges, what are the measures they have taken, and what we in Pakistan have done so far to combat the cybersecurity challenges. And then I will also at the end highlight the few recommendations that could be done at the niche regional level to combat this cybersecurity regime that we are and the problems that we are facing. So if we generally talk about the cybersecurity, cybersecurity is all protecting the cyberspace that is interdependent network of IT infrastructures that include the internet, telecommunication networks, embedded processors, and controllers in the critical industry. Now, the point to worry is that cyberspace has no borders, which puts the digital assets of any country at risk. Even someone with a laptop can shut down the power grid of a country. So therefore, all over the world, the government priority is to protect the national digital assets operating in their cyberspace. So cyberspace is a global challenge that impacts the societies, national security, critical infrastructure, and the global economy. And the high volume of losses is due to the increased number of cyber attacks. Now, these global losses from the cybercrime skyrocketed to nearly 1 trillion US dollars just in year 2021, and is estimated that these will rise to 10.5 trillion annually by 2025. Now, this is very worrying. Uh, Global cybersecurity market expenditure is expanding in billion US dollars in different domains like the encrypting software, endpoint security, network security solution like SOC, SIEM, IDS, IPSs, antiviruses, and other different network security solutions. Now, one important point that I want to highlight is that Pakistan is going through an economic challenge and looking into the economic potential of the global cyber security market. It is a global opportunity, golden opportunity for Pakistan to gear up and take maximum share of these international markets. Now, I would like to discuss the what the developed countries are doing to combat their cyber security problems and challenges. Now, the primary target of the developed countries like US in all strategies have been the economic growth and the technological advancement. Now, to achieve these advancement, these countries has focused on improve their educational system, the first and foremost. US has done two major overhauling of their curriculums in 1957 and 1983 to lead and keep global dominance in technology and economy. Let me just briefly share two important major historical overhauling of the curriculum of the US history. One of the major education reform was initiated in US history when the Soviet Union launched the satellite Sputnik in 1957. Now, it was galvanized concerns regarding the Soviet supremacy over the USA, reinforcing the back to the basic attitude in school and placing science education at center of the concern for the US. Now, Congress responded with the National Defense Educational Act in 1958 and directing the federal funding to improve science and mathematics curricula and increase the opportunities for exceptional students seeking training in critical scientific fields. Now, by the 1980s, the US global economy was diminishing and was diminishing because they only focused on the space technology. And at this time, they had focused on the same issue as they did in 1950s, that they need to revamp their education system. So they blamed lack of the educational rigor for the US falling back in this space race. In 1980s, the critics cited lack of educational rigor for the USA, waning the economic power. So in 1983, the National Commission on the Excellence in Education, appointed by the Reagan administration, published A Nation at Risk, accusing educators of losing sight of the basic purpose of education. And they started revamping the national curriculum from the grassroots level to gain the power of the technology in the world and they started from this grassroots level, that is the school level. Now, internationally developed and some other developing countries have written their coming to the cybersecurity. They've developed their cybersecurity strategies to achieve their national and international cybersecurity goals. In this respect, the US has written its national cybersecurity strategy way back in 2003, followed by the Europe and the rest of the world. Now, the main theme among these national cybersecurity strategies, which includes the government and legal framework, number one, Number two, develop national capabilities to defend to defend. Number three, cybersecurity education and awareness. Number four, research and development program. And number five, the public-private partnership in cybersecurity industry establishment and international cooperation. Now, according to me as an academician, the point 3, 4, and 5 are most relevant to us and I will quickly highlight on its importance and what Pakistan is doing about these points, that is the cybersecurity education and awareness, research and development programs, and the cybersecurity industry establishment. Before that, I would also quickly give two examples of the projects of US and UK for developing the cyber security educational frameworks. That is the NICE and CyBOK. Now, both projects have done detailed analysis and defined the security areas and competency to cover national requirements and international and compete internationally. The NICE framework provides a set of building blocks for describing the task, knowledge, and skills that are needed to perform cybersecurity by individual and teams. Now, it defines 56 different competencies. CyBOK also works somehow like the NICE to develop their cyber security education frameworks. Now, these are what the developing countries have done. We at Pakistani level have done nothing to produce any cybersecurity educational framework. Now, I will quickly go through the what Pakistan has done to combat these three major issues highlighted by the US cybersecurity policy and where we are standing. Because these cyber challenges somehow relates to these three challenges what we are facing today in Pakistan. The first, now to achieve our targets of national and international markets, we need to work on the three main blocks as a strategy. The first, the HR development as per the national and international market requirement. Number two, enhance and expand the research and development so we can innovate new technologies and solutions in the cybersecurity domain specifically. I will be talking about, obviously, the cybersecurity. The third one is to promote the commercial activities through the range of different actions by different state actors. Now, and all these three components will create more jobs and help Pakistan economy and help secure Pakistan in this digital era. Now, if we come to the basic component of all these points highlighted by the developing countries' national security, cybersecurity strategies, is education. We can say education is the core component of all these building blocks to achieve the cybersecurity strategy. It means that weaker the education system, weaker the research and industries, and that ultimately leads a weaker economy. If we do not work effectively on all the three components, that is HR development, enhance research and development, and to promote industry and commercialization, we cannot help Pakistan boost up the economy and to secure Pakistan in this region and in the world. Now, I will quickly share my views on what Pakistan has done in these three commodities, like the HR development, research, R&D, and industry and academia collaboration or linkages. Now, as Dr. Zunera said, that Air University and the Nash University, along with other 12 universities in Pakistan, have started the BS and BE cybersecurity programs. They are also running the MS and the PhD programs in cybersecurity. But this is not enough, because let alone in UK, one universities are offering BS cybersecurity program. So we are still lagging far behind from the developed countries. Continuing in the HR development alongside the degree programs that we are offering, Dr. Zunera mentioned that we have the National Center of Cybersecurity. So under the platform of the National Center of Cybersecurity and being part of the NCCS, we have successfully trained over 1,600 plus individual in 72 different workshops. And we regularly updates, there is a training calendar program on the NCCS platform, and we regularly try to have awareness workshops and seminars to create awareness of the cyber security among different we can say uh, different age groups and different sectors. Now the question is, where do we stand in terms of the HR to compete globally? The answer is that we have to work very hard, and we are at a very early stage in order to compete in the global market. Now, coming to the research and development, which is the second important domain, and which can help us in accelerating the innovation in cybersecurity and help Pakistan in not only in boosting its economy, but securing Pakistan. So in this step, the NCCS, the National Center for Cybersecurity, is a PSDP project that is funded by the Higher Education Planning Commission through Higher Education Commission of Pakistan. In total, it has 11 labs, and its headquarters is located at the Air University. Now, these labs are not only doing R&D, in fact, they are also helping the creation of the workforce, the HR force for the Pakistan in combating the cybersecurity domain. So NCCS human resource include 44 PhD students, 68 research associates, 60 research assistants, and 16 team leads. And we are hoping to generate at least 20 PhDs and 100 plus MS students through these different labs across the Pakistan. Now, this R&D module. Now, in this R&D domain, we are not only just doing the research, we have also developed some indigenous tools. Dr. Zunera quickly highlighted some of the, she talked about the tools. Now, these 11 labs under the NCCS platform have developed the indigenous softwares and tools that are already deployed in the Pakistani different sectors, from academia to different strategic organizations. And that is what was the need of the core need, we can say, principle of these labs, to develop our own indigenous solution and to be in the and to compete in the market of this cybersecurity. Now, the last thing was to the industrial academic collaboration and the strengthening of industry. Now, in this regard, the first National Science and Technology Park was established at NUST, and over 200 companies from different cybersecurity domains are working over there. Now they are bringing in the problems from the industry, different corporate sectors, and the academia is pitching their solutions through the National Science and Technology Park and playing its role in the indigenization and in the cybersecurity domain. Now, this is how Pakistan is standing in the cybersecurity domain. Now, I will quickly highlight few recommendations along with, as mentioned by Sir Ammar Jaffri and Dr. Zunera, that what need to be done at the CERTS region to combat the cybersecurity challenges. Now, the first and the foremost thing that I want to highlight is, like, we need force like Interpol, the physical Interpol. So we need cyber policing, and cyber policing that should span across different borders and have function like the Interpol. The most important problem we face, or any other country face, is the laws, that the geographical laws that shut them down from we can say investigating the cases. So we should have cyber policing like the Interpol, first of all, to transfer the knowledge, to cooperate with each other, to help help in investigating the cases of the less developed countries and overall with each other. Now, the second thing which I will highlight is that the CERTS which are very important, and the CERTS working in silos, either at the corporate level or at the national level or provincial level, they need to be combined and they need to come on one platform at Pakistan level. Secondly, at the SARC level, this is very important. Dr. Ammar highlighted that we conducted different cyber drills. Now, it should not be limited to only cyber drills. The CERT should be working. The Malaysian CERT, they are very active. The Turkish CERT, they are very active. The OIC, the Arab League CERT, they are very active. So we should not work in silos. In fact, there should be a platform for us to work in combination and share that knowledge and help sorting out if there is some sort of HR, let's say, a deficiency in one region or in one country. So by this collaboration, we can share our knowledge and expertise to the SARC region. The third one is the most important thing that I want to highlight is an important issue that is also an important issue: the web servers. The critical web servers, that have an impact, just like to naming a few, like the NADRA or the FBR, their web servers should not be hosted outside Pakistan. And we as a nation and from the SARC platform should develop our own DNS servers, and we should have our own cloud or web server where we can host our national or we can say critical infrastructure, critical web servers, which are being targeted every now and then from throughout the world. And the last point that I would like to mention is Dr. Zunera also said, and Dr. Ammar also said, that the awareness at the top level, the decision makers, we need to make them understand the importance of cybersecurity. And if it is now not being taken care of, we will lag far behind in this cybersecurity, in this technological world. So I hope I've tried to cover some point what we are doing in Pakistan, being an academician from academia point of view, also from the industry point of view, what we are doing in close collaboration with the industry, and what we are doing as a R&D team. So, and few of my recommendation that I also shed some light on it. That's all. If you have any question, you can always place them in the chat box. We will be able to answer it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Waseem Iqbal. Thank you for shedding light on such an important points. We have noted down all the recommendations given by the speakers, and we will make sure to connect with the relevant stakeholders to work on the recommendations that you three have provided. We have received some questions in the chat box as well. We will try to address them, every one of them, point by point. But before going to that, I would like to unmute Ambassador Nadeem Riaz for his question. Sir, over to you.
Thank you very much, everyone. I mean, it was really a very informative session. I actually learned a lot from what you all said. And I looked at all the recommendations which all the three honorable speakers made. But I have a basic question, and like I guess anybody can answer it. The basic thing is that, you know, we speak about the need for regional forums, right? We speak about SARC. We also spoke about international policing and all this stuff. But my basic question is that in a region like ours, where countries are directly involved in regional disputes, SARC doesn't really function the way it should function. So, and then we have this major problem which most speakers highlighted of fake news. How do you propose that a regional approach would be beneficial? Because in my humble opinion, to have a regional approach, you will have to share a lot of stuff. And when some of the countries which are trying to pool in their resources, they are itself the aggressors, then how do we try to formulate something which will be beneficial for all? It's a question which anybody can answer. And thank you very much.
I will have to answer that. Vaishnadeep, the problem is that we cannot isolate the real world with cyber world, because cyber world has emerged from the real world. So all of the political differences in the region are going to stay, right? I have been a part of these discussions for the last 10 years in different countries. And very recently, there's an organization like DCAF, the UN-based organization placed in Geneva. Only, I think, a week ago, there was a 3-day conference. 2 days was closed door, and I was part of that. Interestingly, I represented government of Pakistan here, even the public of Pakistan also. And from a different country, there were very senior people. For 2 days, 3 hours a day, we discussed all these issues which you're talking about. On the third day, it was the open talk, which was, I think, I can give you a copy, YouTube copy of that. You can listen to that. We address all these issues. Now, the challenge is that now criminals are targeting our basic human needs. So now a requirement has emerged from everyone, be it India, be it Bangladesh, be it everyone, that now we should join hands together. Because now it's not a matter of one particular country, it's a borderless world now. It's a matter of the human of the globe. So the first response to your question is now the requirement has emerged now. Now, what UN has done up till now, DCAF, and I'm working with DCAF for the last 3 years. Now, they have issued a guideline. They have issued a cyber governance framework. It is a cyber governance framework. And I'm ready to talk to anybody or any organization on this subject, because a lot of senior people are sitting here. The very basic requirement is that all of us in Pakistan, be it a think tank, be it a university, be it a government, be it a private organization like me, we should sit together, engage in a dialogue. It will not be a seminar, it will not be a workshop, it will be a dialogue. We will raise certain issues like your question, and then everybody on the table will share it. It's not a matter of having some funds or having some appointments, it's a matter of the security of Pakistan. So I think, as I told you in the last slide, that in August 22nd to 23rd, I'm very happy to inform all of you that back in 2002, let me repeat again, 20 years before, I invited as the officer of the FIA, Mr. Bruce Schneier, who is now the #1 cybersecurity guru in Pakistan, Bruce Schneier. He wrote 2, Dr. Zunera must be knowing him very well. 20 years before, we invited international speakers like him in Pakistan. But today, our level of knowledge has gone very down. Let me very, very candid with all of you. The level of knowledge in cyber world is again totally different what we are talking right now today. It's the AI-based driven, it's the emerging technology-based driven, it's the era of Web 3.0. We are talking about metaverse. So only yesterday there was a conference in HEC and there were a lot of VCs there. I discussed these things there also, that we need to reinvent our education system first, because our existing education system is based on books. It will take a lot of time if we enter into that system. So we'll have to reinvent something, and going on a very fast track, and only a dynamic group of people sitting like in this room, they can work on that. So I will restrict my answer up to this point. Anybody else want to say anything, please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, we would move forward to other questions in the chat box. We have a question from Mazhar Vakar. It's directed to Mr. Ammar Jaffri again. The question states, as you have mentioned that deepfake news is a big challenge, how can your institute help new researchers to come up with new solutions to this area?
You know, what's the fake news? Let me tell you. Something which has not happened, but it is being projected. Now, the AI has come, now the fake videos are coming. For example, I'll be talking against Mr. A, and Mr. A will not be knowing about it, and I will not be knowing about it. But the video will be genuine, even the dialect, my sound, everything will be there. So it's again, it's software and hardware is working now. It's so scary. Now, by the time you dispel with the losses, the damage is already done. So it is a big challenge. And I'm ready to talk to any organization, including everyone sitting here. Okay, you please continue. Let me fix my battery. My battery is going down. It's power not here. Please
Yes,
go ahead.
sure. Sure.
I would like to highlight that the fake news is a very troubling problem nowadays. And in the academia, we have taken this very seriously. And a lot of research groups being formed, in which not only cybersecurity professionals, but the machine learning and the AI people are also in these groups, and they are working together to come up with the solution to identify. This is a very grave area that is also given as a research area to us, to NUST, by the FIA as well. The FIA has highlighted this issue, and they have signed us an MOU with the NUST team, cybersecurity team, to come up with a solution. So we have already started something about it. We have highlighted the team, we have organized the team, and we have started the research to come up with a solution to identify the news and the fake news, the true news and the fake news.
Okay, I will have to continue because I have fixed my battery here. You know, as fake news is being spread, we can identify, you're absolutely right, that we can identify the fake news also. Now, the softwares, the platforms have come. You put the video into that, and that will exactly tell you it's a fake, right? In terms of the person, the sound and everything. So I think fake news is a big challenge now. And now there's an era of deep fake news in which I think gone are the days of social engineering, when people used to social engineering on you and they used to manipulate your information with different. Now, the fake news will come, and I'm really scared about something like something in the space which could disturb everybody in Pakistan, and things are being thought about it. You will hear a big sound, and after that sound you will have some AR VR animated something in the space, and there'll be sound. And so by the time government will control it, the damage will also be done, already be done. So I think it's the right time to ponder how to control these things. And the only solution is just to working together. Only solution to work together. Fake news is a big challenge. We have to address it. Politicians are worried about it. Industries are worried about it. And in the end, I would like to add something like IR 4.0. Industrial Revolution 4.0 is the future of industry in Pakistan. And to my worry, now the next attacks will come on our industries. You know, maybe some CEO of the industries having dinner with his family, and he will see a message that your entire industry is stopped now. You pay us this much and then we'll release you. Because ransom attacks will not come on organizations, it will come on industries now. So all these are very emerging challenges, and we should first engage in dialogue, raise some issues, and these dialogues should be not only a discussions only, it should be well documented. Question is like we do. The notes should be taken, the notes taker, rapporteurs should print their reports. I think think tanks are with us, and we can do a number of things. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I want to add what Dr. Waseem and Dr. Ammar just said, that we are taking fake audio, fake video, and fake images detection very seriously. And a number of research efforts are going on in different labs of National Center for Cybersecurity at Air University as well. A number of students are already doing, this was a question of Mazhar. At Air University, a number of students are already working on fake video and fake audio detection. There is a need to develop indigenous solutions for such problems. And another thing important is that when there is a fake audio or fake video, there is not only single way of creating a fake audio, there are multiple ways possible. So the solutions which we design should be able to detect fake audios and perform source separation and identify from which words are spoken by, like in case of audio. So and also images are not the only images, traditional form of images. Now when we talk about images, these are image can be a fingerprint, image can be a meme, it can be any other kind of image. So when we talk about fake image detection of fakeness from different types of images is also a challenge. and also the question document analysis. There are such efforts to create fake documents, signature forgeries. So when we talk about images, there are a number of challenging problems already in place. And Alhamdulillah, now many researchers are already working on these problems. If you look at the number of publications or the research papers published or the solutions which are designed in last 3-4 years. So before 3 years, I was not very sure. But if you look at the efforts, because of the efforts in cybersecurity of all of us, the GCI ranking, the Global Cybersecurity Index ranking of Pakistan has improved from 94 to 72. So we are now, I think 72 or 79, but we have taken a huge jump. So in future, if we'll continue working with the space, our ranking will further reduce and we'll be at a better position. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zunera. There are two other questions that are directly that are directed to you. I'll just state those and then you can answer both of them. The first question is from Irta Fatma. She's asking about, can we consider surgical strike, the Balakot incident among India and Pakistan, as cyber information technology failure? And the second question is from Firaz Naqvi. He's asking about that, considering the failure of space law, is it really feasible to implement cyberspace laws, mainly when it has become the non-traditional way of warfare? Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, the first question is about surgical strike, and you say that can we call it a cyber information technology failure? We can't say anything a failure because whenever a solution is deployed in IT, it is thoroughly tested, or especially when we talk about a solution deployed at in defense at defense place. So it is a thoroughly tested system. So I won't say it's a failure, but whether it was an intended attack or it was a mistaken attack. So an investigation or a forensic investigation can actually identify what were the reasons. And the second question about considering the failure of space laws, is it really feasible to implement cyberspace laws where it has become the non-traditional way of warfare? When we say international cyber laws, there is a need to have international cyber laws because if you are performing an investigation of a crime where we have suspects or criminals, you call them criminals, and you think that according to your law, like if you talk about Pakistan, according to Pakistan's law, they are criminal and they have performed certain acts which are against our law. But as per the law of suppose Canada or US or Australia, they have not performed any criminal activity. So how you are going to penalize them? So there is a need to have some areas where there is a need to have international law. Like, for example, if you talk about a crime committed from across the border, then there is a need to have some body or some common written document, and all of the countries, all of the states abide by that and penalize. But when I say that, and as Sir Deep was already talking about, that when we talk about a region and where the regions, countries in the region are at a place where their stakes are different or they are talking differently. So in case of any crime or in case of any conflict, which information you will be hesitant to share and which information you can share. So it depends on the classification level of the information. So obviously complete sharing won't be possible, but controlled sharing where you can share some part of the information which is crucial, especially if the crime is about an attack is about the basic human needs, as Sir Ammar mentioned. So in those cases, but right now we are in a state where there is no such thing exist at all. So every country is handling cyber crimes differently, and the kind of cyber crimes everybody is facing is almost, or you can say more than 70% same. So at least for that 70%, they can have common laws for the different types of crimes which everybody is having differently. They can have a different way of handling those. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zunera. That was very informative. Now we have a question for Dr. Mia Mohammed Waseem Iqbal from TA Bhutta. If you could please highlight the steps taken by National Security Division to counter cyber threats to Pakistan. What role has been played by the Security Division to engage the South Asian countries in cyber front?
The National Security Division on cyber security is worried only about the problems of the Pakistan, So what nowadays they are doing is they are formulating a policy, and they to the think tank members from the academia, industry, the strategic organization, from the telcos, banking sectors, they have their team. Now on any grave issue, they just send it to all the members to get their input, and then they try to derive a policy on it, looking at the grave issues of Pakistan only. They are not doing anything on the CERTS platform. Instead, they are doing it only for Pakistan, keeping in view the cybersecurity name of Pakistan.
Thank you, sir. We have another question from Mr. Imran Sirdar, who's a research analyst at the Institute of Regional Studies. His question is directed to Mr. Ammar Jaffri, and his concerns involve the cyber race. He's of the opinion that international community was able to develop some ethics and protocols on nuclear weapons. We've put an end on hardcore state security paradox, and he wants to know that is there any limit to the cyber race in the long run? Can we be able to in the long run, can we be able to develop a kind of sufficient credible deterrence like we did in nuclear weapons, or at least some ethics and protocols to follow at the international level?
I think we can't stop time and technology. It will go on. So we should never think that this race is going to stop anywhere. I would like to focus here on cybersecurity governance, which has been taken care of by UN now. And I will request Ambassador Nadeem to discuss this with me. And I would like to talk to you, to AUST, to all stakeholders sitting here. I will give you a full presentation on what they have decided. Actually, they have prepared guidelines, everything now. It's our judgment call, how we build the capacity of our own people to understand it. It will be very difficult. And unless universities and think tanks will not come forward, it will be very difficult to even to explain it to people. So I think this will be a collective effort. Secondly, cyber weapons have already been prepared, ready to attack. Now it's our judgment call that how we recognize those weapons, how we handle it, and how we educate. To my understanding, the future leaders of cyberspace are in universities now. We are the past leaders now. They are in the universities now. It's our job to educate them, to tell them everything what we know. But definitely we need a platform. And I request all of you in the national interest, cybersecurity division, all these senior level organizations, they will issue beautiful books, beautiful documentations, everything will be there. But the real student, actually the student listens to the teacher. Student doesn't listen to anybody. So it's a judgment call for the universities that they should teach whatever they want, whatever the curriculum says as per their ongoing practices. But they must engage private sector organizations, it's called public-private partnership, to train them in skills which are demand-driven now, which are the need of the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ammar Jaffri. We have just one last question. After that, we will wind up, and that question is directed to Dr. Zunera Jalil. In your opinion, do you think that by depending on foreign technology, can we secure our infrastructure? If we can, how are we going to move forward, secure ourselves with the cybersecurity threats coming our way?
Can you repeat your question?
The question basically talks about that can we, if we depend on the foreign technologies, how can we secure our cybersecurity infrastructures?
Depending on foreign technology should be reduced gradually, because if you are depending on foreign technology, whether it is software or hardware or network or any kind of that, you are actually keeping a door open for threats, because your hardware and software solutions may contain backdoors, which actually will make all your efforts to secure your systems useless. Because if there is a backdoor in your system, whether it is in a hardware or software, that can ultimately be used against you. So no matter how secure your software solutions or the underlying or the overlay hardware you are keeping, the baseline is containing a backdoor, so that will be. And even if you keep your systems in isolation, if you are not fully confident whether the hardware or software solution is 100% secure, or it is not keeping any vulnerabilities that can be exploited even by an insider, that is not a good solution. So when we move towards IT in computer science 20 years ago, when I was doing my bachelor's, at that time, when people used to talk that we are using Windows operating systems or we are using XYZ software to this, at that time, I also used to have a question that why we are not designing all these solutions ourselves. But maybe at that time we had some constraints and we were not having ample human resource available at that time. So we relied on them, and this reliance is still going on. And now we are talking about having our indigenous operating systems and our indigenous microprocessors. As recently, I think a week ago or a couple of weeks ago, we designed our own microprocessor. One of the lab in the National Center for Artificial Intelligence, they did that. But when we are talking about it 22 years after when the use of computers were common in Pakistan, in the case of cybersecurity, we cannot afford to take this risk. In case of cybersecurity, all the solutions which we are using in any of the organization should be indigenous. If we cannot make an abrupt shift towards indigenization, we should make a smooth shift, but we should have reliance on indigenous solutions instead of paying hefty amount to others to provide us solutions. And even we won't be sure about those solutions, that whether they are secure or not, and we will always be calling them to renew our licenses or to come up and perform the security auditing, give us security patches. So this is my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zunera. Thank you to all the three speakers for enlightening us with their valuable inputs. We would now move forward to the end of the session. I would like to invite Ambassador Nadeem Riaz, President, Institute of Regional Studies, for his concluding remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Larev. It was absolutely fascinating. My compliments to all the three speakers. It was extremely educative, and when you have such an educative talk, it's always very difficult to conclude. So I will basically try to conclude and basically touch upon some of the basic points which were discussed over here. Well, basically, cyber crime, the cyber world is global. There are multiple challenges which all countries face, and these problems are going to continue. Because every day a new software is developed, there is something which is going on. So it is something which we need to concentrate on. We need to work towards it. Fake news is a major challenge. It's a challenge which needs to be addressed. And then rather than states or governments and individuals for ransom and everything, there is a threat to attack on various industries. So how do we tackle all this? And what Dr. Saiba said towards the end, she said that we have a reliance on foreign systems, whether it's the hardware or software. So how do we tackle all this thing? Obviously, there is a need to join hands. There is a need to engage in a dialogue, whether regionally, internationally, whatever. And then it is an important thing that there is a need for the classification of information. Whether they're obviously, Dr. Saiba used this thing about 70% could be shared and 30% could be regarding specific laws and all, but it is something which we need to look at. As the challenges of cybersecurity are for all countries, so a regional approach obviously could work. There is a need for a public-private partnership. We need to educate our students. We need to educate the public, the policymakers. We need more think tanks to work on this important subject of cybersecurity, because this is what the future holds. And we need to find local solutions. We need to design our own systems, and whether systems cannot be designed overnight. So the shift would be smooth. for solutions, but like, definitely the world needs to work together to tackle cyber warfare and cyber security, because it is the thing for the future. I hope I've been able to summarize the entire conversation and the question answers which we had. But once again, individual thanks to everyone for participating, and we will definitely be approaching all of you some very good suggestions regarding digital diplomacy, regarding briefings on what is going on in the world. So I think we will start approaching all of you again to educate us much more on this particular challenge, which the world is now facing and will continue to face. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Nadeem Riaz, for your concluding session. Thank you, Dr. Zunera Jalil, Mr. Ammar Jaffri, Mia Mohammed, Waseem Iqbal. Thank you so much for your valuable time. Thank you to the audience for joining in. At the end, I would just say that it's true that in a world where we're transitioning into Industrial Revolution 4.0, there's an urgent need to tackle all the challenges that are related to cybersecurity. But again, it's the 21st century, and we should be embracing the technological revolution as it is. But we should also be focusing on the how to tackle those challenges that comes along. Thank you once again to all the speakers. We would definitely be inviting you again for important discussions like this.
Can I
Thank you
give you a suggestion? If you ask everybody to switch to the camera, take a photograph. It's a very historical movement.
sure,
So
yeah,
many
sure.
people.
We can
If
do
you
that.
can, yeah.
If everyone on the panel.
I will request all participants to switch on their camera so that we can have a photograph. Anybody who can, please switch on the camera. I will request the organizers to please take a photograph of it.
Ammar, can you please take a photograph?
Anybody who wants to be part of the history, please switch on the camera.
We are done with the picture.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ammar.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining in.
Thank you. Thank you.